In the words of the Heim sisters, I've been down, like down. I'm in this pit. And is self-care gonna boost me out of this pit and launch me up to solid ground again? No. I'm not saying I'm gonna give you guys a rope to help you climb out of the pit, but just lift you maybe a little bit more so that you're closer to your way out. Does that make sense? I don't know. One of the hardest parts for me is just getting started. I am very talented at lying in bed forever and ever, but I've kind of realized that like once I'm forced to get out of bed to go pee or get something to eat, no matter if that's at 11 a.m. or 4 p.m., like at that point, the ball gets rolling and it's a lot easier to get myself to participate in my life instead of just being inactive. So the first activity I'm going to recommend, and these are in no particular order, is going to be to shower. Imagine that, a depressed person showering. Unheard of, I know. So I'm not saying you gotta get in there for 20 minutes. I'm not saying you even have to get in there at all. I'm just saying a quick, even body rinse can be a nice way to refresh. I know a lot of you are gonna be like, okay, come on now, a shower, like my mom could have told me that. But my very astute, tiny little brain has learned that once I'm clean, it's hard to feel comfortable in a dirty space, such as this one. Are those my tissues, you ask? Yes, they are. So here we are. Our bodies are clean. Our minds may not be, but at least our bodies somewhat are. The next thing I like to do is have at least one accomplishment during the day. As Americans, we're like unhealthily attached to just accomplishing a shit ton of things every week. It's like built into our psyche and our morality that like we have to be achievers in order to be worth anything. I wonder what system like reinforces that. But what I like to do is set myself up with a list of 3 things that a 3-year-old could do. Maybe not a 3-year-old, but maybe a 12-year-old. Notice the guacamole stain. Yeah, I'm unwell. So bonus points if you can make these rhyme, but if I can just make my bed, take my med, and prep my head, I feel very good about myself. Have I contributed anything to society? No, but like I've contributed to my sense of normalcy. Another thing that genuinely helps me and I repeatedly underestimated is the power of caring for something else that needs you, such as a plant. I'm not quite competent enough to take care of a pet, so plants give me a good reason to get out of bed and focus on something that's not me and how anxious or unsettled or overwhelmed I am. I use this little app called Plantini. No, I wish it were called Plantini. It's called Planta. And the reason I like this is because left to my own devices, I will forget about my plants and I will forget when I last watered them. I can barely even remember if I take my medication on a given day. So it'll tell me, hey buddy, somebody besides your big dumb brain needs you for the day. And then I can just, well, I had to save all my plants in here. That's one thing that you do is save your little plants, but it's free. And they're just my little family, you know? They're my little friends right now while we're also isolated. And maybe this is a gendered thing, but it can just feel like very primally reassuring to care for something and to see it thrive, even when you're not thriving, because how could you be in a global pandemic? But to see something like grow and flourish under your care, like because it's your responsibility. I know who watches my videos. I know you guys are super smart and very competent, very talented, skilled people, young and old. Like, I love the community I've built here. That's not the purpose of this video, to like have a spiel about how much I love you guys, but I know that you know that showering's good for you and you know that having a minor routine is good for you. But do you know how satisfying it is to read through old journal entries? Of course, this activity only works if you've been keeping a journal. But even if you sporadically keep one and have written like one entry in 2012 and another one in 2014, something I like to do when I'm feeling really at my lowest is to remind myself that I haven't always felt this way. You know, that's one of the hardest things to realize when you're like mentally unwell, is that it's not a forever thing. You will not feel the exact way you're feeling right now watching this video forever. Look at this sappy ass shit. I can feel that I'm going to look back on this week with a glow around it. It's already turning into a golden memory. Just a little sampling. Maybe you don't have journal entries and it's going through your Instagram story history. Maybe it's reading through old text messages. Like, sometimes that stuff can be detrimental, but it can be such a reassuring reminder that you have felt differently and you can again. Something else that my therapist always recommends, and I have always knocked before I've tried it, like multiple times I've knocked it and then tried it, and that is to record your dang moods. I'm no data scientist, but I do love looking at my Instagram insights to see how many people have DM'd every single thing I've posted. One of the weirdest things that Instagram tells you. I really do not need an extra thing to dwell on, but I started using a couple of apps. I'm just trying out a couple different ones that are free because there are paid versions, but like I don't need to pay to record how mentally unwell I am, right? Like, one is called Dalio and the other one's called Breeze. I used to just do this in my little journal every day. I kind of like handwriting it, but this like provides you with data. The way it works, simple and clean, is you record your mood on a range. My therapist recommended -5 to 5. 5 is actually not the top score. 0 is the top score. You want to be content, neutral, happy, emotionally stable. I think we all want that for ourselves. 5 is like super anxious, like insanely anxious, just so jittery, like anxiety. -5 is like very, very depressed. Low, no energy. So she recommended just like once per day recording it, but I like to do throughout the day. And then the way these apps come in handy is that you can tag activities. So maybe I just got done scrolling through TikTok for 2 hours, I'll record how I feel, and then as time progresses, it'll compile and like basically give you like a visualization of the activities you tag that have the biggest correlation, not causation, right? But like correlation with your mood. And so then I can figure out, oh, talking to my dad when I'm stressed at work actually really helps me feel better. Or like doom scrolling on Twitter for some reason makes me feel anxious. Why would it do that? Beats me. Makes no sense, right? No, I mean, the nice thing about this is that I cannot keep it up for more than like 3 or 4 days because recording and acknowledging how you're feeling actually helps me process things. Who knows if I'm explaining that in any helpful way, but. So shouts out to my therapist, or actually ex-therapist. We mutually ghosted each other. I am getting a new one. I feel like before people were wary of virtual therapy, but now because everything's virtual, it's all we got. You would think going through therapy is the hard part, but actually a lot of the times for people it's just finding a therapist because there's no like one silver bullet system to help you find someone. But that's why I like BetterHelp, because like it really removes all those barriers for you and it just makes it easier to access someone that can professionally help with your mental health. And that leads me to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. If there's something, maybe the pandemic, maybe seasonal depression, maybe other tensions in your life interfering with your happiness, your mood, BetterHelp will assess your needs via a little quiz and then match you with a licensed therapist, professional therapist. It's not self-help, like it's not a crisis hotline if you're not familiar with it. It's the same counseling you get in person, just done virtually online, and securely, may I add. The nice thing also, because you're tapping into not just your local therapists and those constraints, but national therapists, is that you have a much broader range of issues they can help with and specialties. And it's actually available worldwide. So it's not just the US, if that's any issue for you. You can log in anytime, send a message to your therapist and your counselor anytime. Obviously, beyond the messages, you can schedule weekly phone or video visits with them. And BetterHelp is like very committed to making sure they find you the right therapeutic match for your needs, because your alliance with a therapist, as I've learned, is like the biggest factor of your success. It's free to change counselors if needed, and it is much more affordable than traditional therapy, which can be hundreds of dollars per session. In my mind, there is no downside to investing in your mental health, so if you want to try out BetterHelp, you can check out the link in my description down below. It's betterhelp.com/Katherout, and you get 10% off your first month with that link. It's a good time to click around and open up another tab on your browser alongside this video and start the process. Oh, and also financial aid is actually available if that's applicable to you. So they're a class-conscious platform. We love that. Now I want to introduce you guys to a couple of the most important parasocial relationships in my life That's right, they're people I do not know in person and only know through Instagram, but they're two people that have helped me and have comforted me and like reassured me daily in a very big way. I know, Instagram, Twitter, social media can be toxic. I personally take like 2 to 3 day breaks from Twitter and Instagram. It can really make me spiral, but Morgan Harper Nichols
baked in a buttery, crispy flake,
and Allison Raskin are two people that genuinely help and never hurt. I know that's a big claim, but a lot of you may know this woman, this gem. I can actually tell where I'm at in the bell curve of my mental health based on how much I relate to her posts. Like, if I find myself swiping through and just grabbing onto the words, I know that like I'm in a darker spot. But some of the most wonderful, wonderful things on the internet are on this page. Little excerpt from her post on June 21st of 2020. It is so hard to make sense of this, and here's the thing. You do not have to. You are free to feel this as you learn to journey through. This is not what you had in mind, and this is also true. You have not missed out on what was meant for you. This wonderful woman just reminds me to like take it easy and that you have to give yourself grace. You can't do everything at once. You're not held to some impossible standard, even though the world makes you think that way. Like, you get to define your success for you. It's kind of like one of the only things on my feed that makes me feel like I'm good to just exist and not keep pushing, you know? And then Allison Raskin, you can follow her main account, Allison Raskin, or you could follow the account Emotional Support Lady. She is the queen of reframing. She's getting her master's degree in psychology, and she had this tragic life event happen where her fiance left her just out of the blue. And even though that's not an experience I've gone through, she just does such a good job. I mean, just look at this, guys. I know it's small and probably hard to read if you're on mobile, but she just kind of has these like radical mental health thoughts that really help me reframe things. And like this one doesn't like super apply to me because I already don't believe in this, but the idea that there is only one perfect person out there for you falsely implies that you are static and not constantly changing and evolving. And I'm like, that's such a beautiful way to reframe that. So there you go. 2 accounts that remind me that neuroplasticity is real and that people can grow and change and develop. Woo! Here's another one that I know but always forget. Emotional support animals. I don't have any pets right now because I'm living at home with my parents and my dad's allergic, but I can tell you right now, I'm gonna adopt me a fat ass tabby when I move out. I'm like just so boldly reminded of how wonderful the warm embrace of a pet can feel. I hugged my friend's corgi for like 30 seconds the other week, and like the amount of giggling that just came out of my mouth that I hadn't heard come out of my mouth in so long just amazed me. Who would have imagined? I'm not saying to just go to your local dog park and like grab a dog and hug it, but if you have friends with animals, see if they can let you take their pet for a walk or dog sit. Sitting on the floor for this last one, which is weed. So I figured I'd save this one just for the real ass people that have survived this far in the video to even watch this portion, but lately I've been turning to weed for some relief, and I'm no weed evangelist. I know it's not universally good, but for me personally, I have found that if I am like super overwhelmed and my brain just won't stop buzzing and nothing helps, that it kind of just like reboots my brain, like wipes the slate clean, eases me back into things. It truly does feel like a part of my medicine to me, which isn't radical because marijuana has been used in a medical setting for forever, and even like psychedelics have been used to treat like PTSD and some other mental illnesses. So we like know that there are health benefits to it. I almost like treat it pretty medically. Like I know exactly how much to dose myself because I know exactly how many milligrams are in each one of these. I saw this tweet that was like, weed is normie now. It clearly is, because if I'm using it, then it must be incredibly mainstream. But I figured I'd just open up and share a little bit more about that, because probably if anything in this video, that's what helps me just experience like some laughter, some fun. Like it's one of the only things that gives me like a true sense of relief, and I have a very consistent experience with it. So I'm not gonna go out there and tell you to like start smoking weed, but like it is legal in California where I am. A lot of these things you maybe probably don't want to hear, and that's totally fine. I just love it when the YouTubers I watch open up about their mental health. Totally situational as well. If you're someone that, you know, is like working 3 jobs, or you're a caretaker for your family, like a lot of these may not apply to or even be helpful. That's why I recommended BetterHelp as well, as something that honestly is like every single person I've heard try it universally has helped them. I appreciate everyone's like support and empathy and how much this channel has grown over the past year as I've actually been putting out consistent videos. So if you're watching this and the button below is red, you can click that. It won't kill you. I'll try to help your mental health along the way, but no guarantees. And if you're already subscribed, give this a like and consider turning on the notification bell. I don't have it turned on for many YouTubers, but if I'm someone whose videos you enjoy, that might be a good idea. Okay, as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time, and Katherout.